think the church is changing. Parts of the church are shrinking, and some of it is even dying, but other parts are growing and finding new and fresh strength. Those who are engaged in our church are actually deeply engaged. They're deeply committed and they're very active. And I think that's a really exciting thing. Engagement in the public square, I think, means three things. We need to have a call to prayer, because that undergirds all that we are and aligns us with God's purposes. The second is that we are a church that needs to be deeply involved in provision of services to people who are in need. The third is that I think we need to be engaged in advocacy to change the structures that lead to some of the social issues that we're dealing with today. The future is not going to look like the past, and I think that that's actually an important thing to remember.
So what we have done is decided to have a community garden so that we can have individual plots for individual people from outside the church and from within the church.
It's that, for so many people, church is such a frightening, and intimidating entity. And I have had so many great conversations in this space where people feel welcome and comfortable and just they're able to share. So my hope is that this will be a place that as we recognize this is church, this is still the place where we encounter God, that it will help people to deepen their encounter and move towards our communal Sunday worship. That's my little agenda. So, because folks are afraid, and then if they can find that church folks are ordinary folks, they're your neighbors, they're actually having the same issues and challenges just like you, and we're a community that are upholding each other, that we're growing together in love, and it has actually begun, right?
What are the initial responses you have when you see someone who's homeless, okay? Because I want you guys to deal with your prejudices, right? Today what we're going to do is we're going to do basically a homeless education program with youth from all over Ontario. The exciting part about it is that it's going to be led by two guys who have lived experience of homeless. Both of them have stayed at the Warming Room, which is a program that we run, and both of them kind of came up with this tour that's going to be a day in the life of someone who's living homeless in Peterborough.
In the winter time, if the right security guard was working, you could sit in there on a Sunday and stay warm. The panhandlers will sit over there, and usually it's just enough to feed whatever addiction you have.
What little bit of wisdom I have, or what little bit of knowledge I have, which isn't much, if I can pass it on to even one person, I think it's a good thing.
By having people with lived experience do this, they were a part of the church. They were running the educational program of the church, which they saw all of a sudden they were a part of it. And I think that was really powerful. For me, it's always powerful because I hate that I'm always asked like I'm the expert on homelessness when I've never been at risk. I've never even been close to being homeless. These guys are the real experts, and they were able to share their expertise with these teenagers.
Is a march to recognize the ending of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Communities from across Toronto coming together, including the Diocese of Toronto, members of the United Church, folks from Kairos and Toronto Council Fire, and other communities coming to sort of recognize this moment and really commit ourselves to carrying on reconciliation going forward.
We can't make right what has gone wrong in the past, but we can do, I think, a much better job of realizing how it came to be, how we betrayed our own teachings as Christians. For me, this is a liturgical moment. This is a kind of prayer, a kind of reflection. And in that sense, I think, yes, it is an expression of who we are as church.
And as we walked up that street and we felt that discomfort in the cold, we can imagine what they sustained, and they continued. And they came out of those schools and they did good things. They were our mothers and our fathers and our aunties, and they were there for us. And many of them suffered long and hard days at those schools, but they came out and they moved beyond that.
We're still searching for that gift. Maybe we can call that gift reconciliation. We're still searching. And when we gather together, each of us individually will find it, and we're going to become strong.
Transition time between the after-school program and the cooking club before a new group of youth come to the church. Today we are making seafood spaghetti.
We make food and then eat it, and it's great. It's like a family.
What's really cool is the kids call this church. They're all kids from the neighborhood, so this is their experience of church. And what's really neat is when I started, we tried to make fancy names for the programs. Like, we have a Friday night program, we're like, we'll call it The Space. But a lot of the kids don't use those names, they just say church. They're like, is there church today?
The Lord is good to me.
Amen.
Wonderful.
So I began to wonder, exactly where they were from and what they were doing here and how, as a community, we were welcoming them. And I found out that they were here for about 5 or 6 months. They were all from Mexico. And really we weren't doing much because they were sort of, in a way, hidden. And so we asked them, how can we integrate you into our community? A couple of them said, well, we've been coming to Canada for a long time. And we've never had a church service in Spanish. Could you do that for us? And I said, sure. Of course, I didn't speak any Spanish. I had no idea how to do it.
Con todos ustedes, Dios Todopoderoso, que la fiesta de todos los corazones.
Well, it won't be like it is in the past. Our engagement with government, for instance, won't be like the first Bishop of Toronto, who was essentially a member of the cabinet, or like Henry Cody, who was a member of the cabinet, Minister of Education, Rector of St. Paul's, and the Chancellor of the University of Toronto. That's just not going to happen. But we will be a people, I think, who do want to work together to make a difference in our civil society so that all people can have what we would call a community of hope and compassion to be part of.
We are allowing the local story to dictate to us, and then we can then see where does what we do fit into what's already happening.
We need to keep going together and keep walking together, even though we're parting ways today, but keep walking together as we go forward.
They were just calling any program church here, because it is.
who's there, who needs help, who can we have a ministry with, even if it's not one of our traditional ministries.
We're a community that are upholding each other, that we're growing together in love, and that we're hoping to build a sense of belonging and meaning and purpose, and to make this world a better place in Jesus' name.